Wildfires tear through the Pacific Northwest this Thursday night. The flames forcing thousands of people from their homes as smoke smothers parts of BC.
I woke up and it was kind of like hard to breathe.
While a Washington community focuses on kindness in the face of catastrophe.
And there are people who lost their whole lives. This is just a little thing that we can do.
A notorious Indian gang exploiting Canadian student visas to commit crimes. The revelations from a classified report, a Global News exclusive. The Canadian woman accused of spying at NATO headquarters, new details around her identity. And a rising tennis star from the Philippines.
I feel really hopeful for Filipino athletes.
How Alexandra Iala is stirring the hearts of Canada's Filipino community.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Hundreds more people in BC have either been ordered to leave their homes or are now on evacuation notice as dozens of wildfires burn out of control. The hot, dry weather is providing no relief, but a second wave of help has arrived from Mexico. 100 Mexican firefighters arrived in Abbotsford, BC today. They will join 100 already on the ground and will be deployed to the Fraser Valley to help fight two wildfires burning there on opposite sides of the Fraser River. The province says about 600 firefighters from around the world are coming to support BC's frontline crews. Sarah MacDonald is in Anmore, about 30 kilometers from downtown Vancouver. Sarah.
Donna, the focus of this province's firefight has been largely in its interior, but a timely reminder here in Metro Vancouver that wherever there is forest, there can be fire.
Directly behind the houses here. Absolutely terrifying. We've got a helicopter on it.
It exploded quickly and dangerously close to homes Wednesday evening.
Come on, this is not what we want.
Crews working overnight to beat back the flames in Belcarra Regional Park, forcing evacuations near the village of Anmore, about an hour northeast of Vancouver. This fire believed to be human-caused, now considered contained.
We're very fortunate that the conditions presently are not windy.
In the province's interior, the firefight is far more expansive and far less forgiving. Premier David Eby welcoming more reinforcement arriving from Mexico Thursday, while addressing criticism that he and his ministers have been absent from the impacted areas.
The last thing that wildfire fighters need when they're facing down a wall of flame is for the Premier to show up to hold a press conference.
With some 8,000 British Columbians like Jim McLean still out of their homes.
I'm not in good enough shape to be fighting fires.
Outside the village of Clinton, officials confirming the loss of some 120 homes. Frank Coker knows his is safe for now.
You could see it burning up, the mountain behind us, and it was very fierce.
Southeast near Vernon, at least 200 structures destroyed. The fires causing all this devastation, among more than 50 classified as out of control. There is some success in the tireless battle, with evacuees from Boston Bar now allowed to return home for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. So some small victories, Donna, but compounded by cautious optimism tonight, with more lightning and more fire starts expected in the coming days.
Okay, Sarah MacDonald in Anmore, BC, thanks. They are bracing for more fires in Washington state as well, where 2,000 firefighters from 20 states are heading to Spokane. Authorities say at least 913 structures have already burned across the city. Winds are expected to pick up in the coming days. More than 60,000 residents had to flee with little warning over the weekend. A little later, Heather Urix-West talks to some of them about their harrowing escape. A classified intelligence report obtained by Global News reveals how a crime network based in India has exploited Canada's student visa program, using it to get criminals into the country. The report was written for Canadian immigration enforcement officials, and it names key members of the Bishnoi gang. That gang is accused of carrying out multiple crimes, including targeted killings and extortion in Canada. Jeff Semple has our exclusive report.
Police across Canada are reporting a surge in violence targeting South Asian communities, including murders, shootings, arson, and extortions. Crimes allegedly committed by members of a notorious Indian gang who came to Canada on student visas.
This crisis is not even close to being over, and it could get worse.
India's Bishnoi gang is led by Lawrence Bishnoi, who's been locked in an Indian prison since 2015, accused of numerous murders. A classified intelligence report by Canada's Border Services Agency, obtained by Global News, reveals Bishnoi's top lieutenant, Goldie Brar, came to Canada on a student visa in 2017. It's unclear if he ever went to class, and his whereabouts are now unknown. The report reveals how Brar and other Bishnoi leaders expanded into Canada and recruited members by exploiting the student visa program.
The screening is non-existent for the most part. It's an honor-based system.
The number of Canadian student visas expanded dramatically starting around 2015 under the Trudeau government. More than 1.5 million Indian nationals received Canadian study permits and usually did not require a criminal record check. While the vast majority are law-abiding, records show thousands have been charged with extortions and other violent crimes. The most recent data from 2024 shows more than 2,400 Indian students were charged with more than 13,000 offenses, representing an increase over the past decade of more than 8,800%.
When there is someone that is caught, we have to keep in mind there's only 400 people nationally, CBSA officers, that are tasked with identifying, arresting, and removing these people.
Bishnoi members often post videos boasting of their crimes on social media.
Well, there is definitely a fear in the community.
South Asian residents and business owners report receiving phone calls threatening their families and demanding payment.
Some of those people have actually paid the ransom to buy peace, and without actually going to the police and reporting everything. So, which is very heartbreaking. I mean, people don't have trust in the police anymore.
In an emailed statement, a federal government spokesperson notes the Bishnoi gang was listed as a terrorist entity last year, and the government has introduced measures to strengthen the integrity of the international student program, with enrollment down 83% compared with 2 years ago. Donna?
All right, Jeff Semple in Toronto, thank you. 2 people have been charged after gunshots were fired at the U.S. consulate in Toronto last week. Investigators suspect they were paid as part of a so-called gun-for-hire network organized on encrypted messaging apps. Toronto police released this surveillance footage of a car speeding downtown after the shooting. A 15-year-old and a 19-year-old each face more than a dozen charges.
It's high time we stop the revolving door of young people and young adults being engaged in this kind of brazen activity time and time again in our public spaces. We need that cycle to stop.
The shooting happened despite a police presence outside the consulate, and it's the second time shots were fired there. 2 people have been arrested and charged related to a shooting in March. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada was involved right from the start of the investigation into a Canadian woman who's accused of spying at NATO headquarters. The woman, who is of Chinese origin, was an intern at NATO in Belgium. Jillian Piper explains what's known about the case. Jillian.
Donna, the federal government's security processes are under scrutiny after the arrest of Claire Zhang, a Canadian NATO intern who allegedly spied on behalf of a foreign power and belonged to a criminal organization. Belgian authorities identify the accused as a Canadian national of Chinese origin who was flagged to them by NATO officials. Zhang, a woman in her 30s, had been interning at NATO's military headquarters in Belgium for about a year and was allegedly spying on behalf of China, according to Reuters news agency.
The police of local jurisdiction there are seized with this issue.
Court documents and social media accounts reviewed by Global News appear to show that Zhang also previously worked for Statistics Canada. The government has not confirmed her employment with Global News, but the defense minister says he is assessing whether security reforms are needed.
The government is seized with the need to improve overall the approach to security clearances.
What those improvements could be and when they may take effect, David McGuinty would not say. But Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling for urgent action.
Why is it that we keep learning about national security threats to our country from foreign governments?
The Prime Minister pushing back against the idea that Canada was out of the loop.
The only thing I would add cryptically is that the Canadian officials have been involved from the start. Draw your own conclusions.
NATO claims the situation had no operational impact, a positive sign, according to this former intelligence officer.
Even though this may be a success, there's probably going to be a lot of internal dialogue in terms of how to reinforce those processes.
Zhang has not made any public comment on the allegations against her, nor has any lawyer acting on her behalf. She is currently being held behind bars in Belgium, awaiting trial. Donna?
All right, Jillian Piper in Ottawa, thank you. The doctor who guided the U.S. response to the COVID-19 pandemic is facing potential prosecution tonight. A Republican-controlled Senate committee has voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. The head of the committee has long had it in for Fauci, repeatedly claiming the doctor held too much influence over the pandemic decision-making. Jackson Prosco looks at why Republicans are going after him now.
And the motion is agreed to.
For refusing to answer their questions, Republicans voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress.
Seeking the truth is not a witch hunt. Accountability is not vengeance.
Obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution.
Last week, at a Senate hearing into his handling of the pandemic, Fauci answered question,
"Who the do you think you were for doing that?"
After question,
"What day of the week is it today?"
The same way, more than 100 times.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer. I respectfully decline to answer. I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
The former White House COVID czar said he feared Republicans were trying to ensnare him. Though he received a preemptive pardon from former President Joe Biden, it doesn't cover anything after Biden left office.
So part of what he's arguing in asserting the Fifth is that if I fall into some perjury trap here, that pardon's not going to cover it.
The new push against Fauci comes after the release of his personal diaries, documenting his views on the origins of the pandemic and his growing celebrity status. He rigorously logged his frequent media appearances, including several interviews with Global News.
Unfortunately, he's not a hero. He's a villain. It's because he loved all the celebrity.
With the contempt motion referred to the Justice Department, Fauci now faces the prospect of a federal indictment.
There's a lot of process between now and any kind of action being taken to actually charge and convict Dr. Fauci.
At the same time, several states are carrying out their own investigations into Fauci, who has long since retired from public life, but hardly faded from view. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
The U.S. president is strongly denying reports the military is running low on critical weapons because of its war on Iran, which has dragged on for 6 months. In a social media post, Trump says the U.S. has massive amounts of munitions. He accused the media of spreading treasonous statements and threatened long-term jail sentences for people who leak information about the military's arsenal. He's reacting to media reports the U.S. military has used up much of its long-range precision missiles on Iran.
Canada's nasty. They are. They're nasty. People think Canada, they're nasty. People, I love the people, but they're nasty. Nasty leadership.
And the U.S. president is insulting Canada again. President Trump took that swipe in a speech praising his punitive tariff policy. Canada's negotiating team is in Washington this week for more trade talks. Prime Minister Mark Carney was asked today about Trump calling him nasty. Here's some of what he had to say.
Whatever adjective is used, yes, we're standing up for Canadian workers, for Canadian businesses, as we always have from the start. And from the start, our focus has been on what we can control.
Trump is threatening to impose more tariffs on Canadian imports next week. Iala Mania at the National Bank Open. Coming up, the tennis star making waves at the Toronto tournament. The governing body of soccer in Europe, UEFA, is still threatening to boycott future World Cups because of the actions of FIFA's president. Gianni Infantino has been under intense pressure to resign. He withdrew his plan to sell a stake in the World Cup to private investors, but only after it was widely criticized. Infantino convened an emergency meeting with senior FIFA leadership in Morocco Wednesday. Executives issued a statement afterward apologizing for some mistakes, but reaffirming their full support for Infantino. Today, UEFA said its position on him has not changed. It has already said it's lost confidence in him. Canada's biggest tennis tournament is in full swing, and one of the biggest storylines is the soaring popularity of a young player from a country not normally known for tennis. Alexandra Iala is the highest-ranked tennis player from the Philippines in the sport's history. As Megan King reports, she's already drawn huge crowds at dozens of events around the world, including Toronto.
It's really inspiring. I feel really hopeful for for Filipino athletes.
Taking part in this year's National Bank Open, rising star Alexandra Ayala. Just days ago, the 21-year-old tennis player became the first woman from the Philippines to win a WTA championship in Washington, D.C., and Wednesday made her Toronto debut, packing SoBi Stadium with thousands of fans.
The attendance so far is breaking the men's record last year. We have this new Filipino community that's coming out supporting not just Alex Ayala, but also our Canadian Leylah Fernandez.
Hale says Ayala's fans sold out her first match in minutes. The interest in her games is so high, the tournament has moved all of her matches to center court to accommodate crowd sizes.
Last night we saw 1,000 flags in the crowd. We saw enthusiasm and nationalism we've never seen before. It's so great for tennis, and we're so excited to see more of Alex.
Aspiring players are also excited to see more of their favorite player, representation they haven't always had.
Yeah, everyone's really excited. My whole family was watching from the Philippines. It's really fun to support her. Even like my family who they're not really into sports, everyone loves watching her.
The Philippines has never produced a tennis star before, making this moment an historic one. Ayala often speaks in her native tongue during tournament interviews and frequently references her roots.
Toronto is such a multicultural city, so it's nice for me to be here for the first time, experience that culture, experience that atmosphere. Of course, out there, I felt very at home.
Ayala's level of popularity is something largely unprecedented here at the National Bank Open. The only player garnering a similar reaction being Serena Williams when she announced her retirement here at the tournament 4 years ago. For Ayala, that support only seems to be growing. Megan King, Global News, Toronto.
Ahead, lettuce sales plummet in Quebec. Why farmers there say what they grow is safe to eat. Lettuce farmers in Quebec say they're suffering because of a cyclospora outbreak in the U.S. Canadian-grown lettuce has not been linked in any way to the outbreak there, but some shoppers are so spooked by it, they're avoiding buying leafy greens. Dan Spector explains where that leaves farmers and their harvest.
Thousands of heads of iceberg lettuce are growing in this sprawling field about 50 kilometers south of Montreal. But all this lush green produce is being cultivated at a loss. The difficulty we're having selling our products makes us sad, says the president of the Quebec Produce Growers Association. She says people just aren't buying lettuce like usual because of the cyclospora outbreak in the U.S.
There is a surplus in Quebec, and the price has been dropping tremendously.
The outbreak has American authorities warning the public not to eat recalled iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms, Mexico. An investigation is still underway, but in the past, irrigation water contaminated with feces has been to blame. Over 11,000 people in 15 U.S. states are impacted, and 2 deaths have been connected to the outbreak. There is no reported contamination of Canadian lettuce.
There is no risk, as far as we know, here in Quebec to consume actually the product from here.
Still, farmers say demand for their products at Canadian grocery stores has dropped. Making matters worse, 50% of the lettuce produced here in Quebec is exported to the U.S. Even though it's safe, Americans are scared to buy it. Prices are plummeting. Just taking it out of the ground will mean losing money for many, a tough pill to swallow when there's nothing wrong with it.
If it's grown in Canada, it's safe, and I hope you will eat it.
It's safe to eat product from Quebec.
Farmers here are now left to hope the U.S. gets over its cyclospora scare quickly, so sales can climb back up and the now inevitable losses can be minimized as much as possible. Dan Spector, Global News, Napierville, Quebec.
Next, stories of strength after devastating wildfires in Washington. Destructive wildfires can change people's lives forever. People who lost everything in communities from Fort McMurray to Slave Lake and Jasper know that all too well. But mixed with the trauma are incredible stories of resilience, kindness, and strength. Heather Urix West brings us some of those stories from Spokane, Washington, tonight.
That's
Still
good.
fearful of Nora?
As parents, August 1st, 2026 is a day Joseph and Trista Wilson will never forget. Because for 6.5 hours, they didn't know if they, their 10-year-old daughter Nora, or tens of thousands of their neighbors would all make it out alive. She's like, every time I close my eyes, all I can see is the fires.
You're so scared, and it's so crazy that you don't even realize it's terror.
With fire advancing towards them, the Wilsons knew they had to leave.
Oh.
But they never expected evacuating would mean being trapped together in a car for hours, watching everything burn before their eyes.
You know how close the flames are getting because like houses are exploding and you're seeing it, right? I think the most difficult part was having Nora in the back.
We also told her at one point, like, we're just getting out of here. I know it's scary. We're getting to Grandma's house. When we get to Grandma's house, we can cry. Strong winds brought the fire into the city of Spokane so quickly, thousands of residents had little time to flee. But with only one apparent way out, the Wilsons credit first responders for saving lives.
Turning around over and over and over again is what's going to get you trapped at the end of the day, right? This cop literally looked at me and he was like, you just need to be really, really patient.
As residents fled, local firefighters battled the blaze.
There's places that I worked at and that are not there anymore, and it is kind of emotional. I'm glad that I get to be here around home to help out.
Now, helping in any way is all anyone in Spokane can think to do.
He actually walked up to us with his boots like this.
This local boot maker has spent every day since last Saturday at firefighter base camp, donating brand new work boots to firefighting souls in need.
There are people who lost their whole lives. This is just a little thing that we can do.
It means a lot. I've been going through like 2 pairs a year with other brands and stuff, so I'm really excited to have these.
We've had clothes dropped off for the kids, for us, shoes, people getting us in touch with people who have rentals so we can try to find a place.
Like literally the first street off of Rudder.
This traumatized family says that generosity is helping them heal day by day. Since those hours on August 1st that changed everything. Harrowing moments that destroyed houses, but left a community determined to survive. Heather Yurex, West Global News, Spokane, Washington.
That is Global National for this Thursday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Hear Canada is Crowhead, Newfoundland and Labrador. Thanks for watching. Jeff Semple will be at the anchor desk tomorrow, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.